Hi, welcome to my video on solve trig equations, sine and cos theta, and we're going to use this video as a review in relation to the sinusoidal functions, the equations that are coming up. Let's do some examples. Solve 0 less than or equal to theta less than 360. Notice we can have the degrees from 0 to 360, 0 but not 360. Cos theta equals 0. So very quickly, if you draw the circle, 1, 0, 0, 1, negative 1, 0, 0, negative 1, and cos is associated with the x. So where's x? 0. X is 0 here and here. So that means theta is 90 degrees, or theta is 270 degrees. And that's the two answers in relation to cos theta 0. So if you take a calculator and subbed in cos of 90 degrees, you get a 0. Cos of 270, you get a 0. Now we have another one, the sine. Theta is the negative a half. And what I do is that I say this is the sine and this is the negative. So I do the sine of the reference angle is a positive a half, and because I have a half, there's a special right triangle that the angles, we have 30 degrees, 60 degrees. Opposite 30 is a half, opposite 60 is root 3 over 2 with the hypotenuse of 1. So the sine is opposites. Sine is opposite of our hypotenuse, cos is adjacent. So sine of what angle is a half, so that means the reference angle is 30 degrees, because the sine of 30 is a half. Now we want to find what quadrants we're in, so what I do is I draw a little grid and I add sugar to coffee, and this is all sine, tan, cos, or you can use the cash rule. I like to, in my videos, I like to say add sugar to coffee because it starts in the first quadrant. The cash rule starts in the fourth quadrant. So sine is negative, sine is the y, so the y is negative. As you can see, the y is negative here and here because everything is positive here. Sine is positive here, so sine again is negative in 3 and 4. So you draw a grid. I do the two grids separately to keep them separate. So I draw a terminal arm going out in the third quadrant. I draw a terminal arm going out in the fourth quadrant. The reference angle is 30 degrees, so the reference angle is between the terminal arm, which is here, and the x-axis, and the terminal arm, between the terminal arm and the x-axis, 30 here. So the rotation is this rotation to get the angle. So that means that theta in the third quadrant is 180 plus the reference. So it's a 210 degrees. And then the rotation here is this one. And to get this one, in the fourth quadrant, I go 360 minus the reference, which is 30. So that's 330 degrees. So that's the two angles. So if you did the sine of 210 on your calculator, you get a negative a half. If you do the sine of 330 on a calculator, you get a negative a half. That's checking it. And let's continue. This time I have equations, but it's 0 less than or equal to theta less than 2 pi. So this is in radians, and 2 pi is 2 times 180, so that's equivalent to 360. But we need the answer in radians. So what I do, I find the answer in degrees, then I switch them to radians. Much easier. And again, we have the circle. Sine is the y negative 1. So where's the y negative 1? Right here. So that means that theta is, it's in radians. So let's work it in degrees first. So sine is the y negative 1. So that's 270 degrees. And 270, we multiply it by pi over 180. Zeros cancel. 9 and the 27 goes 3. 9 and 18 goes 2. So the answer is 3 pi over 2. Remember, pi is 180, so pi over 2 is 90. 3 90s is 270. So 3 pi over 2. And we have another one to do. Cos theta is root 2 over 2, and that's a special right triangle. And we have root 2 over 2, root 2 over 2. Notice the two sides are the same, so that means this angle, these angles are 45. So notice, again, I'm just going to go with the reference. The reference angle, this is already positive. Because this is a positive fraction, that means I'm automatically finding the reference angle when I find theta. So the reference angle of cos, no matter what angle you use, cos or sine, the cos of this 45 is root 2 over 2, the cos of this 45 is root 2 over 2, because cos is adjacent over hypotenuse, the hypotenuse of 1. So the reference angle is 45 degrees. So I draw, add, sugar to coffee. Cos is the x, cos is positive in all, quadrant 1 and quadrant 4. So again, I draw the grid, and I draw quadrant 1 terminal arm, and I draw quadrant 4 terminal arm. Put the reference angle in the diagram between the terminal arm and the x-axis, between the terminal arm and the x-axis. So right here, theta is 45 degrees because it is the reference angle. And the rotation here is theta is, again, fourth quadrant, so it's 360 minus the 45. So that's a 315. And convert 45 degrees, you multiply by pi over 180. So that gives you 45 once. 45 is 4. So that's a pi over 4. 45 degrees is pi over 4. 90 divided by 4 is 45. And 315 degrees multiplied by pi over 180. And again, if you think about it, you divide by 9. You get 9 into that is 20, and 9 into that is, you're getting 9 is 3 9s are 27, and you get, I'm dividing by 9 now, just 3 9s are 27, that's a 4, so that's 35, and 5 into 20 goes 4, 5 into 35 goes 7, so it's a 7 pi over 4. But if this angle is pi over 4, this angle is pi over 4. How many 45s are in 135? 7 of them. So 7 pi over 4s. Pi over 4, 45 degrees. 7 times that gives you 315. So that's working out the angles in terms of a radian. Okay, let's do some more examples. And this time, we're looking for solve for all possible values of theta. So we're finding all possible values of theta. So we want it in degrees. So again, we have a special right triangle. We have root 2 over 2, root 2 over 2, root 2 over 2, and that's a 90, that's a 1. So these are 45 degree angles. So the cos of the reference angle is root 2 over 2, because the reference angle is always in the first quadrant. So that means the reference angle is a 45 degrees. And we'll add sugar to coffee. And cos is the x, cos is negative in, cos is positive in 1 and 4, is negative in 2 and 3. But think cos is also the x, and x is, oops, I said 2, or 2 and 3, I take 2 twice. So that means we have quadrant 2, terminal arm, quadrant 3, terminal arm. The reference angle between the terminal arm and the x-axis between the terminal arm, which is here, and the x-axis. So the rotation, here it is. And that rotation, that's theta, is 180 minus 45. So that's 135. And this rotation is from right here, right around to the terminal arm. So theta is 180 plus the 45. So that's 225. So that's the answer in degrees. So 135 is in the second quadrant and 225 is in the third quadrant. And root 2 over 2 is 0.7071. So if you took 135 degrees and put it in your calculator, you get a negative 7071, so you know you're right. And another one to do, sine of theta is root 3 over 2. Again, that's a special right triangle. So we have a 30 and a 60 degrees. Opposite 30 is a half. Opposite 60 is root 3 over 2. Hypotenuse 1. Sine is opposite. So opposites. So the sine of 30 is a half because it's opposite. Sine of 60 is root 3 over 2. So that means the sine of the reference angle, again, I didn't have to do that because it's already positive, but the reference angle, the sine of 60. The sine of 60 is root 3 over 2, so the reference angle is 60. And let's see what quadrants we're in. Add sugar to coffee. And sine is positive, so sine is the positive, so that's in quadrants 1 and 2. Or think of sine also as the y, so the y is positive, up, so it's quadrant 1 and 2. So we plot it in quadrants 1 and quadrant 2. There's quadrant 1 there. There's quadrant 2 there. Reference angle is 60, so there's 60 degrees. Reference angle is 60. And so the rotation here is 60 degrees. And the rotation here, there's theta, but the angle is 180 minus the reference minus 60, so that's 120 degrees. And we want to change that to a radians, so we take the 60 and we multiply by pi over 180. Zeros cancel, and that's 6 and the 6 is 1, so that's 3. So theta is a pi over 3. And check, pi is 180 degrees, equivalent, so 180 divided by 3 is 60. And 120 multiplied by pi over 180, zeros cancel, 6 into 12 goes 2, 6 into 18 goes 3, so you get a 2 pi over 3. And just think, that's pi over 3 is a 60. 180 divided by 3 is 60. 120 is 2 times 60. So that's correct. So the two answers are pi over 3 and 2 pi over 3. And that's a review before we do solving sinusoidal equations, because right now I kept it easy, and that's a review in the earlier trig unit. I kept the angle to be theta. Now I'm going to do videos where this angle is going to be 2 theta, theta plus 30, etc., etc., etc. So more videos coming up on solving more sinusoidal equations. And if you like my video, click the like button and click the subscribe button if you're not a subscriber. Visit my math website, www.mathfullyexplained.com, to find more videos about me, find more information about me, my videos, and the content. And that's the content on my YouTube channel called Math Fully Explained. Thank you for viewing my video. Hope the video was of some help to you. Bye-bye.